it out. The insurance company doesn't keep it. It spends it to the other people. It defers risk. On top of that, the insurance company takes money and invests in the country or the place they are. This is a noble profession. You got to begin to think that way. You got to know that. So, having said that, well, that's the difference there. What's the other risk they run? They run the risk of having to take less money out if they just happen to be in the stock market. Look at this. How retirees can ease the pain of a market rally. Oh, give yourself a pay cut by withdrawing a little less today. Continue to take less out over the next several years. What? Take less money out. What are you kidding? I sold the second car. I don't have the house in Vermont anymore. I'm sitting here and I drink Clan McGregor instead of Johnny Walker Black. I did all this stuff to cut back. And now you're telling me I got to take less money? Why? Because the stock market went down. So, well, look, your dollar cost averaged in. This gives comfort, right? Your dollar cost averaged in, so now dollar cost average out. What the hell's wrong with you? What? I put money in this thing because I thought it would take care of me. Now I got to take care of it? Poor portfolio. Poor portfolio, I know you're done. I'll take less money out. I won't get my teeth fixed. I'll cut the pills in half. You understand? This is human impact on real people. It's not an exercise. It's not a mathematical model. That's what you got to get in. See, that's what Vince is telling you. That's the opportunity you got. The more distant governments are getting as they pull back, they're going to need more people in financial services to deal with all of the people here. And you're in the best country for this because the demographics are on our side, on top of the multiplicity in terms of the different cultural backgrounds. This is where you find yourself. I just want you to begin to spend time thinking about that and make sure you do. I always give Tommy a plug. He used to work for me, you know. You might notice some rather similarities in presentation stuff, you know. But anyway, Tommy does an excellent job with this thing, and I'm glad a lot of you read his book. Anyway, I want to get to the idea of life significance. One of the things that I do is I videotape reps about the impact that they've had on others. And there's one person I want to introduce you to. This is Eileen Yingling. She's Chinese. She doesn't live in China. She lives in New York. And I want you to listen very carefully to what she says, because she's going to speak to you in Chinese. No, it's true. But you know what? They're going to have English subtitles. The important part of this exercise, it doesn't matter that she's speaking a different language. The connection to you is not going to come from what she says. It's how she says it. Would you play it, please?
6月份，他突然来找我，他说：“艾琳，我现在呢做手术了。”我说：“出什么事儿了？”他说：“我是子宫颈癌。”第3次手术下来之后呢，他就来跟我说，他说：“艾琳啊，医生说我活不了多长时间了，我要回家见我妈妈一面，我死到中国去。”我说：“这样吧，我说这边的事情你就放心，我现在送上去。到了中国以后，他说不治，在家待着。没想到因为他是很疼啊，他没办法在家忍受，送到医院去就开始又是杜冷丁，又是输血清、输蛋白、输什么，咱中国那个医药很多，一天6000人民币，1万多美金，10天不到就告急说用完了，又过了1个礼拜。 咱们的支票就寄出去了，结果他呢，入了账，把钱都还上，然后给他太太打这个大款，一次打2万这样子。那么又过了大概1个多月吧，他跟我说，他说他太太那个已经基本上不行了。那么我说我要不跟他通电话吧，他说他可能说不了话了，他说让我给带个信儿，他说。 非常感谢艾琳，这一辈子呢，他最感谢的一个人就是艾琳，因为他呢帮助我，在我最关键的时刻，他说让我能够渡过来，不然的话我不想给你们欠一屁股债。最后我走的时候，里面把房子都要卖掉。他说：“哎呀，我真的我怎么不知道怎么感谢艾琳？你就跟艾琳说，我9泉下面我都会感谢他的，我给他祝福，我都会给他祷告。” 后来我就跟他先生说：“我说你叫他安息。”我说
Tell me another profession that could have such a profound effect on a complete stranger. Can you imagine the last person that this person thanked before she died was Eileen? And Eileen experienced that. Did you feel that? What you felt, I can't explain. Heinrich Zimmer said the best things can't be told. Of course, the left side of the brain controls language, but that connection had nothing to do with the language that was coming out. That came out because of the way she was. And Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious of all people. You know what that means? You could bring someone in from a different language, a different culture, even a different time. And if they saw that, and they knew what it meant, they would feel the exact same thing. Some people think that our purpose in life is to find meaning in life. I don't think that's what we seek. I think what we seek is to experience being alive. And there's no better way to experience being alive than in the service of others. Viktor Frankl, a guy who escaped the Nazi concentration camp, said that significance cannot be pursued, it must ensue, and it can only do so as the unintended side effect of one's devotion to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to someone other than oneself. Look, I'm not talking as financial services professionals, I'm talking as a human being. You just can't live a significant life unless you positively impact others. And the tragedy is you do it for a living, but how often do you focus on it? Famous author said the tragedy in life is not what men suffer, it's what they miss. And why would you miss this? Do you know that Eileen is a bona fide hero to that family with his extensions in New York? Don't you know that if you stay in this business for about 20 years, you could probably fill this room full of people who knew the impact that you had on their families? Some of them aren't even born yet, and you can be gone. And generationally, people would know that. And that doesn't happen if you sell Buicks. And that's the only thing that I'm trying to get across to you, is your importance and your significance, and just spend time making certain that you look at it. Because at the end of the day, remember we did the research, everyone dies? That's you too. No one gets out alive. So as a result, your mortality should really say what's important to you, what really matters. And what will matter is not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of kindness and or sacrifice that enabled and ennobled others to emulate your example. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not the number of people you knew, but the number of people of a lasting fear of loss when you're gone. What will matter is not your memories, but the memories of those who loved you. What will matter in the end is how long you're remembered, by whom and for what. Living a significant life is not something that happens by accident, it's something that happens on purpose. I just want you to be more cognizant of it. So feel good about yourself, the fact that you are heroes, because in my mind you are. So having said that, I want to close with a personal story. You're looking at my mother, and this is Peggy, and that's Riri. It was Marie, but I was the baby. I couldn't say Marie, so Riri started. Okay? So my mother was married to an attorney who was the advisor to Harry Truman when he was president. So my mother used to go to White House tea regularly. And we had a home, we had an apartment in the Bronx in New York, apartment in Washington, and a house in Blue Point, Long Island. And I have a brother, but this is about the girls. And my father cashed in a $100,000 New York life policy to buy an apartment building in the Bronx, and he got killed in a car accident. So my mother woke up one day with 4 kids, and she had to raise them. Now bear in mind, my mother was not brought up to do this. You know, she was not brought up to go out and have a career. She was brought up to be a housewife, and that's what she thought her life was like. So she had to gut up and do that. She went from White House and tea to become a secretary in the bartenders local in the Bronx. How do you like that? So the other thing that happened to her as a result of that was, you know what $100,000 was in 1952? Probably $4 million. I mean, not super wealth, but you know, enough to really get by. You could buy a house for $4,000 for crying out loud. It would have been a lot easier. But anyway, this is the way I grew up. So my mother became the poor relation. That sucks, you know. Oh, it's Marie, you know, that type of thing. You know, come on the yacht. I mean a yacht, but we didn't have a car. They couldn't understand no one having a car. But the worst thing she had to do, see the 2 girls? Neither one of them went to college at the appropriate time, even though one had a full scholarship. You know why the girls couldn't go to school? They had to go to school and make sure the boys went to college. How do you like that legacy? And I guarantee you, it's alive today. Those are the types of decisions that people have to make. So why am I telling you this? This is the way I grew up. And I was in the business since 1974. I never talked about it. I thought it was hokey. I thought the insurance business was a way of subverting the tax law, being cute. I was detached from it. I was more of the left brain analytic. Let's utilize the different tax benefits and gimmick it some way so that it operates like a tax shelter, something cool, not life insurance, because who wants to be involved in that? That was me. And then I saw that commercial in 1999. And for the first time, I began to think outside of myself to my mother, because maybe her dignity was robbed. And then I began to think, what happens if my father had that $100,000? How much more would the life be different? And having never contemplated it, I began to think about it, and I started to get angry. And I got real mad. And rather than describing how mad I was, listen to me, opening speaker, MDRT, Anaheim, California, 2004, 8,000 of my closest friends, what I sounded like. If you play it, please. And I want to know, where was the person of significance, the advocate who could have taken my father, even pushed him up against the wall and said, don't you understand you have to have life insurance because I'm advocating for your wife, because if you're gone, life could be miserable. Where was the advocate who advocated for my sisters who were denied a college education at the appropriate time? And where was the advocate even for my father, whose youngest son stands in front of you now? And the only legacy I can tell you my father left us was he left us alone. Now, could you imagine talking in front of 8,500 people you don't know, talking about the father you didn't know, sounding like that? I'm over it now. But I'll tell you, the thing was, I was never cognizant. Well, I was the classic example of what I did and who I was separate. And that first time I came to the realization of it, about the business I was in, the impact you could have on others, even your own family. So having did that, one of the people that helped me with this was a guy named Joseph Campbell. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a premier mythologist in the United States. He critiqued all myths and religions back to 3000 BC. And with all that knowledge, he says to us in life, what you have to do is follow your bliss. You have to do the one thing that truly fulfills you. And what he was a big devotee was of people in the Native Americans. He thought they had a great view on life. And unlike the West, where we want to conquer nature, they want to be in harmony with it. And I was exposed that what you were and how you did and what you did separate is really not healthy. It has to be combined. And so something that helped me was a passage that Chief Seattle said. This is a guy in 1854. He's about to lose everything he owns. They're throwing him off his land. He's getting on a reservation. Listen to what he said. We just got word from your president back in Washington that he wants to buy our land. But how can you buy and sell the sky, the land? The idea is strange to us. All parts of this earth are sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every meadow are all holy in the remembrance and history of my people. The world is part of us and we are part of it. The perfumed flowers, these are our sisters. The bear, the deer, the eagle, these are our brothers. Each ghostly reflection in the clear waters of the lake talk of the history of my people. The waters murmur with the voice of my grandfather's father. The rivers, these are our brothers. They carry our canoes and feed our children. If you buy our land, know that the air is precious to us. Know that the air shares its spirit with all the life it supports. The wind that gave the great-grandfather his first breath also received his last sigh. This we know. Man does not own the earth. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that binds us together. Man did not create the web of life. He simply is stranded in it. What he does to the web, he does to himself. Your destiny is a mystery to us. What will happen when all of the buffalo are slaughtered? What will happen when all of the secret corners of the forest are heavy with the scent of many men and the view of the ripe hills is blotted by talking wires? It's the end of living and the beginning of survival. When the last red man in his wilderness is gone and his memory is that of a cloud going over the prairie, will there be any memory of my people left? We love this land like a newborn loves its mother's heartbeat. So if you buy our land, love it as we have loved it. Care for it as we have cared for it. Hold in your mind the memory of the land when you receive it and preserve it for all children. Love the land the way God loves you, because this we know, no man, be he red man or white man, can stand alone, because we're brothers after all. And this is from the wild beast, you know, the Indian, right? What that gave me was the first time I was introduced to a mindset whereby who you are and what you do should be combined. That the left and the right brain have to work together. It's really something that's more of an Eastern thought, the idea of being in harmony with yourself versus trying to conquer things. And that was helpful. And that was helpful. And then the one thing that really did it for me was I was in a meeting in the home office. I used to be a home office guy. I wasn't very popular in the home office.